3, 2, 1.
How to build your trust, your authority, and tell your story so that you're the differentiated provider in your community. Everything I'm doing in my practice plus everything that my clients are doing across the country. I know you made the right decision for your practice. Just like my practice and the clients across the country, these marketing examples you took advantage of are going to help you grow in 2022 and beyond. Welcome to Think Big with Odd Experts. You have Jerry Brader and Morgan Hutchings here, live from Phoenix, Arizona. Thank you for being with us tonight. If you are new, go ahead and chat in below new. We always like to know who is with us that's new, who's a new business owner, who's new to the group. Go ahead and chat in new if you're new to the group. Tonight, we're going to be sharing with you how to accelerate growth, how to achieve more, how to think big during your clarity break. Hopefully you're having those clarity breaks. If not, I think after tonight's call, you'll be ready to implement your first one. So thanks for being with us. And Morgan, you got anything?
So I want anybody to chat in too. If you are on your clarity break, let us know. I want you to chat in the word clarity if you happen to be on your break. I just realized I have my shirt on, you have your shirt on. I didn't actually recognize which one you had on, but
yeah,
I love these new shirts.
Yeah, your what's your master your mindset? Yeah, one of the 4 pillars here at Odd Experts, master your mindset. And I think that's a great segue into a clarity break, Morgan. So, what have these first few days being down here in Phoenix on our, our group clarity break every March, we do it down here. How has that been for your mind and your focal point moving forward?
Yeah, they've been, amazing to say the least. I think this is the 3rd year that I've been a part of it. I think that's about the time we learned it from the EOS model. So we probably go ahead and cover what is a clarity break. For me, they've been re-energizing, obviously brought clarity to business and to life for me. They have been fun. They've been a ton of work too. And I think we were just tallying up the other night when we were sitting around the fire pit outside, we were just tallying up how much business we've actually done because of these clarity breaks over the years, which is pretty insane for us.
Yeah, and I heard from a couple other members of the team, they've doubled their income. They've refocused on what the future holds, and they've prepared for yet another launch. So I look at it as like a platform, and then you jump to another platform, and then you jump to a third platform. And so the ability of a clarity break to bring focus to what you're doing, to align yourself with your vision and your purpose, it just goes to those 4 pillars that we have at Odd Experts of mastering your mindset, communicating your culture, specializing in your science or your niche, whatever that might be, and then monetizing your marketing. So super excited to have you here tonight. Like I said, chat in if you're new. We love to hear questions, so feel free to shoot over a question if you have them. But tell me what you found out as your definition of a clarity break from your reading.
Yeah, so for me personally, which I think is true, again, clarity break it's not something that we came up with. We got this from the entrepreneurial operating system, which we talked about on this show before. So in that EOS model, they have very specific terms of when it should be done, how it should be done, where it should be done. For me, my why, my particular reason that I love it is in the word, in clarity. And I think we said that when we showed up. We've happened to done it in the same place 3 times now, 3 years in a row. And you can feel it from the minute we stepped out of the car and we walked into the hotel lobby. We were like, you can feel that peace, that burden of life and everything else that's going on between home life, work life, business, the ups and the downs, the people almost fall off your shoulders, and you realize that you're here for a very specific reason. And for me, the reason is, and we communicated about this before we showed up, so we're actually very intentional about our clarity break this year in particular, is the growth, the future, the thinking big, which we talked about a lot of think big, is the purpose of us being here. So for me, 2 things happened immediately. One, the minute I stepped out of the car and I got to my place where we were having the clarity break, I immediately felt at ease. I immediately felt calm, patient, peaceful, ready to work. And I also immediately started thinking big. I think it was the first night we were here and some of the first meetings we had, we already started talking about 5 years from now, 3 years from now, what's next. So for me, the ability to think freely and think big, and the ability to be at peace the minute that I step to the place that we're actually taking our clarity break has been huge.
I love it, and I want to get in a little bit more to a clarity break, but what's so amazing is the minute you step foot at the JW Marriott Camelback, you see up on the header of the door, right, where
Yeah.
time stands still. And I think that's such a perfect such a perfect saying even for myself. And I think that's probably why we come back here is we have this week in March every year for our group where we sit down and we have time stand still, right? The stresses of the clinic, the stresses of the other businesses, what's going on, all of that seems to come at least slow down. And all of a sudden you have this, like the fog clearing, you have this ability to focus on the vision, on your purpose, on what your business is really trying to accomplish and how you align your team around it. And so I just remember every year now walking here during March and I see that sign, I'm like, that's the place where time stands still. So when you look at Clarity, Morgan, you mentioned a few things, and the number one question that I've had from some coaching clients this week, the private members, a couple of them have stayed here locally. Others we had in for our marketing boot camp on the weekend, and then we have some others arriving in the next few days for our first mastermind of the year. So private coaching members are going to descend upon us at the end of our Clarity break and into that first mastermind. And they say, how come you're working if it's a clarity break and you're not just, on vacation?
Yeah, I'm so glad you used that, because I got that. I mean, I got that from people we work with. I got that from people at your clinic. I got that from family.
I got it from my wife.
Yeah. Oh, you're going on, you're going on vacation. And it's very easy to see that we're in a sunny town. The weather's amazing. The pool is amazing. There's cocktails if you want them. There's amazing food. It looks, smells, and walks like a duck, it quacks like a duck.
Sure.
It looks like vacation. But I also think you hit the nail on the head where how we actually started this clarity break was with your marketing boot camp, right? And that was an intensive 2-day boot camp workshop for anybody that was there. I think I see Chris on the phone. That was intensive 2 days of learning how to market your practice to scale and grow and get more patients in the door. Definitely not vacation. Just setting up those 2 days was really, really intense. After that, this following weekend, we have the mastermind. So same thing, again, work being put into that, the thought process being put into that. I think we're up to 8 or 9 different clients that are going to be in the room that day. So sandwiching it in between 2 events is one of the first times we've ever done that, but I think that added to our productivity as well. So definitely working there. I took Monday and Tuesday to be with my family. So I've been with my family all day yesterday and all day today until this phone call. And that was vacation. So I very specifically set aside time. I didn't answer any of your text messages. I didn't answer emails, and I was just with my family. And here I am, and I'm clocked in, and I now have an hour set aside for me to do just this. And then we go back to vacation. Wake up Wednesday morning at 8 a.m. Keith will be in town. We'll be back to work and clocked in and working. So different from vacation. I don't take vacations with the people I work with. So that's a huge difference for me. Number 2, we truly are working on the business without working in the business. And I think that's a key factor. If you read those EOS books and even if you just want to read the articles or watch some of their amazing YouTube videos on clarity breaks, one of the key factors of a clarity break is it gives you the opportunity to work on the business without being in the business. And you of all people know what that's like to try and get something done in your office.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, you're constantly pulled in many directions in any business, right? You wear multiple hats, most likely as an owner. You have team members that rely upon you. And that's another great question that I had from some that, couldn't attend the clarity break is I have too many things going on in my business. I can't step away. I can't afford to step away. I can't afford to stay at the JW. And I remember those days. I remember before I met the Entrepreneur Operating System. I remember before I built an autonomous team. I remember before I believed in mastering my own mindset and aligning my business and my team to achieve the success and accelerate the growth that I wanted. What, Morgan, when you see that, can you relay something from the everyday grind right? And sometimes the minutia that might come across our desk versus the big nuggets or the big things we're addressing over here.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it goes back to, and everybody has this, they have different versions of this, but years ago, you taught me do, delegate, delete.
Mhm.
And I think over the years, I've gotten very good at what are those things that come across your email, text message, or thread that are things you have to do. And specifically for a clarity break, those are things that are going to light your building on fire, burn your business down in an instant, get you sued, burn your office, right? Like things that will truly shut your clinic down if you don't answer it right away. I don't remember the last time I had that email. And you can probably say the last time you had an email that was truly going to ruin your company if you didn't respond back to an email. And I think when you shift that mindset for a lot of owners, I think on our last phone call, we had a fellow business owner say, but yeah, as the business owner and as the entrepreneur, I want to control everything. And I can understand that because I've been fortunate to sit on both sides of the bus of an employee and somebody that has buy-in on the company. But I still have that philosophy in both seats that I sit in of do, delegate, delete.
Sure. Well, and if there's one thing, right, we can share a little bit of inside baseball here, but right, my director of operations quit on Friday night.
Yeah, the day that the actual, yeah.
The day we left for
we
this
arrived,
break.
actually.
Yeah, the day we left St. George to come down here.
Yeah.
Right, she quit.
Yeah.
So if we were to look at, right, the old response would be, oh my gosh, we have to cancel the marketing booth off.
Exactly.
At boot camp, oh my gosh, we have to, stop this clarity break. We can't do the mastermind. I have to stay behind. But then you look at it, and yes, I showed up to our Monday morning L10s if you're not having those and made a transition, but the team's still off to the races, making money, monetizing the marketing spend I've had out there. They have a tough mindset. They're moving forward. They're communicating with one another. And I'm still here focused on the things that really are impactful to the future of my business, not impactful to today. Right. And I think that's one nugget I have to take away and give to everybody as a takeaway is if you're worried about being in the business today to solve an issue, to do a task, whatever it is, you're already losing the game, right? Because what your job is as a visionary entrepreneur is to be thinking about the future. And so every day that goes by when you're in the business working, when you're in the business doing tasks, when you're in the business, you're actually slowing down your growth. And so today's topic of clarity break is if you can remove yourself from that position and you can focus, whether it's an hour a day, an hour a month, a week a month, whatever your cadence is to clarity breaks, you will accelerate your growth. You will think about the 10 big ideas that will make or break your business moving forward. And if you can outline those and how they fit in your vision and in your purpose as an organization, you can align the team, you can align your marketing, and you'll start to get that traction to take off. And I don't know if you've seen that, Morgan, like the big things. I know national network is one big thing that we're helping in audiology, starting a whole new niche in real estate, right? Those are huge things for our future.
Yeah.
Not the day-to-day nuggets. And I even had a great conversation with Chris, who's a private client who stayed for his first clarity break. And he brought up a new monthly call that our trainer can do, a role play call every month with Reese, right? And so even that brainstorm. But is there anything else you've seen from the clients that are staying here that they're focusing on that are the most impactful to their business?
So many of them want new business, right? Like not surprising as an entrepreneur, they want to scale.
Mm-hmm.
So for a lot of them, especially in the niche of audiology, that means a new practice, a new location. And so I know we send everybody a survey before they come, and I know there's a handful of surveys that are coming that have that word scale, or they have those words of a new location on there. So I know that that's going to be a key factor for them. And if they could just spend one day out of the 3 or 4 days that they're here thinking and really diving into, away from the business, away from the distractions, where's the best place? Why do I want to do this? Really, truly diving deeply on why do I want to do this? Because I think when you commit to big things, it forces you to take big actions. I think that's one thing that Grant Cardone definitely has nailed is that 10X rule with if you set those high goals, you have to take big actions. I mean, massive action is what's going to get you there. And I think that's also what's true for the marketing boot camp, because you very easily could have canceled that, but you had people that were looking forward to it. We had people that paid us to be in town this weekend. You had a EIA national push that you were coming out with that we had to be there to reveal for the people. And I'm a big Schwarzenegger fan, I'm a big bodybuilding fan. back in the 70s, it reminds me, Arnold had a documentary that he made about his run in bodybuilding. And he was in Africa doing a show, a big show. And just before that, his dad had gotten crazy sick. And like everybody was, swearing he was going to die. It's one of those that you definitely fly home for. And he got on the phone with his dad and said, "Dad, I love you. I think if there's one thing I know about you is that you love me and you want me to do this show, because if I come home and walk away from the show, you're asking me to walk away from the goals." And it's those sort of massive goals and then taking massive actions that I think got you to where you are. And so if the people could take that nugget also home of, when you set those very, very high think big moments where you really have a chance to hone in on, why am I doing this with my business? What is my vision? Where am I trying to go? It will force you to take those big actions that no one can get in your way. It doesn't matter who quits, who walks away, or what happens.
Yeah, well, I mean, massive implementation was a key topic at the marketing implementation bootcamp this week, because right there definitely isn't necessarily always a new shiny object, but who is implementing the fastest, who is the best marketer of their product or service. So I definitely like that word, and I agree 100%. What I would also use as a story is, I had a private client that canceled his attendance at the mastermind this week because of I think an ill family member that might be passing away, and personal obligations. And at the same time, I had another private client who's in the middle of buying a home that still showed up to both events, right? So when you look at the results that different people are getting, is right, who can set aside time both for their personal time, their productivity time, and who can set aside time for a clarity break and make the most of it. So definitely, if you haven't already, or chat in, right? Do you take clarity breaks? Yes or no? And how often do you take those clarity breaks? And what I've found as an owner is, right, I need a monthly. I need a few days every month where I check out. But on the other 27 days a month, right, I'm going nonstop.
Yeah.
And so my wife asked me today, well, how is this a clarity break if you're still working? And I said, well, my engine is revving a lot lower, right? I'm still working, but I'm not going the same speed, which gives me that time standstill feeling and gives me a clarity of purpose to work on, like I said, in audiology, the Excellence in Audiology Network. It's going to be the first private practice marketing group that brings 1 million patients together with private practice owners. 1 million patients connected to private practice owners. And if you don't think that's a large undertaking, right, you don't know how hard it is to connect the 42+ million people in this country with great private practice owners. And so we have some great new founding members joining us. We have some accredited members that will be joining us, and we're off to the races because of this week, because I could put everything else on pause and have clarity to focus on what's it going to take to launch this network by June 1st.
Yeah, I love that number, by the way. 1 million is such an amazing number. Chris let us know that his clarity break is actually taking him all the way to the Grand Canyon. That's what he's decided. So Chris, I hope while you're out there having fun, chat in any of those think big topics that you've had a chance. Chris is a real roadster, he's a real driver, so I'm sure he has time on the open road to think and listen to his podcast. So chat anything in, Chris, if you have any big thoughts.
And even on Chris, right? I know that he, has this goal, and he's had it now for a couple masterminds to hire a new audiologist, a new provider in his business. And I know we have a real estate agent who has a goal of adding new agents as well. So when you look at that, the single biggest thing that could make money for both of those businesses is a new provider, a new agent, right? But yet every day we might be worried about a billboard advertisement, or we might be worried about who's out sick, or we might be worried about the phone system. But what are the two biggest things in those practices? And if that's what comes out of that, I told Chris yesterday, if that's what comes out of your clarity break, is that you had 2 interviews, you hired one, and now starting June 1st, you have this new revenue producer. How amazing is that for your business, right? Could be the single biggest thing in his scaling that is to come of it. So fantastic idea. I think the Grand Canyon gives us another, analogy, probably isn't the right word, but think about the Grand Canyon. Think about how massive the Grand Canyon is. Think about what it took to carve that canyon into bedrock, right? And that was probably just a very slow and steady water erosion
Mhm.
over years,
Yeah.
but it's
Consistency.
massive.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
consistency. If you haven't watched last week's talk, I believe last week's was on consistency. So go to the YouTube channel, hit subscribe, look at last week's video, and you're going to hear all about what we talked about with consistency helping you achieve growth as well.
Yeah. And for me and Chris, that was all we did, Chris and I probably spent 20 minutes together to write a new ad for this new individual. And now I think he's had 2 or 3 interviews since he's been here, which had we not had those 20 minutes during the break where we could actually be one-on-one and we could look at this advertisement for the job he was posting, look at now what he's done. And just like you said, if that's that single moment, those 20 minutes are what adds into June, him having a new provider and off to the races for next year. How important was this clarity break for someone like Chris? I mean, that could be $1 million clarity break if that provider shows up and does an amazing job.
Well, and I think you have some great stories about other private clients who took a clarity break or visited us in St. George and needed things like a new director of operations, right? And by them taking the time and energy away from their business, no matter how painful it was, no matter how anxious they were, how many of those businesses that you've worked with have great new directors of operation that are helping them get traction?
Amazing. Yeah. I mean, really, truly, that goes back to the saying from, I believe it's Tony Robbins, right? Where focus goes, energy goes or flows. So for me with the directors, we really truly had a chance to sit down one-on-one and say, okay, what do you need as a director? What's the need? What's the actual why behind the position? Now to you, what makes a good director? What looks like a good director? And we went through this exercise actually with a patient. You did, and now that I think about it, we should do the same thing for anybody we're hiring: is give them a name, give them a position. What do they walk like, talk like, look like? And really, let's get into what type of a person do you want to hire, because it's going to be very, very different if we're looking for a provider or a front desk person or a back office person or somebody that's going to make sure the bills are paid. And that's the chance that we had for several of the owners that hired directors. I think we have one of the directors on the phone who's done an amazing job. I think it's only been 6 months or 8 months. And
well, and I would say chat in, right? If you've hired a director or if you are a director or a new staff member, chat into how does your role and the decision that owner or you as an owner made to hire this person, how has that brought clarity to your business? What have you been able to subtract? I guess last week was subtraction, not consistency, but so what have you been able to help the owner, or what has your DO done to help the owner subtract from their plate and focus on for clarity? So if you're on, go ahead and chat something in. Tell us what it's been like to bring extra clarity by hiring the right people, taking the time to hire the right people, and then subtracting from your plate some of those crazy ideas that your business or practice is not ready for today.
Yeah. I mean, hopefully you guys are understanding how important a clarity break has been for us. For me, it's mental health. And I think that's one thing that you mentioned about you checking out is, if you're an owner on the phone call, I think you guys deal with so much more than as an employee we could ever understand. What's at home, what's in the business, the bills that need to be paid, the people that maybe you owe money to, the people that owe you money, your employees that are quitting, the employees you need to hire, the marketing that needs to be ran, the phone that's ringing. There's so much on your guys' shoulders that this really, from EOS, it's a prescription. This clarity break from EOS is as serious as an L10. It's actually a part of their program. If you dive into the EOS model, it's something they're prescribing to the entrepreneur because they know that it's needed. And I look at someone like Chris, and I know how hard it is for you to take a break. And I know how extremely hard it is for Chris to take a break, who's now down in the Grand Canyon. He's spending time, we're helping him go through interviews. Like, that really truly is you taking just a few moments, a few days of your time to focus on your mental health, so that when you do get back into the office, right, what we talked about 2 weeks ago, unhealthy owners. And when I think about the owners that I know that are business owners that have come and left the group, or some that are even still in the group that know they're unhealthy, and you can feel that unhealthiness, I would challenge them to the last time they took a clarity break was probably never, maybe 2 years or a year ago, probably before COVID. Would seem fair.
Yeah, and I remember, to take a step back and say, what is that launch pad of a clarity break, right? So personally, this, we can call it the JW Merrick here at Camelback, we can call it our clarity break, but this week in March is usually our first time to take a step backwards. We spend a lot of January and February traveling the country, visiting businesses, visiting practice owners, training teams, And this first weekend in March, you know, we take time out to do this clarity break. And every year that we've done it, you know, I don't want to say doubled because I don't have that exact number, but we have significantly grown because of the ideas and the strategies and the brainstorms that take place during this week. This has been the place where Jared's businesses, you know, our group efforts, our ideas have been conceived and taken off. So I know, right, once again, EIA National Network this time next year is going to be a major player in the audiology sphere. I know this time next year, our real estate niche will be, you know, huge compared to where we are today. And I know we'll have that third niche, whether it's accounting or chiropractic. So just remember, right, this is one big clarity break that we take throughout the year. But like I said, I monthly am checking out for a couple of days to focus on what's the next big thing next month, what's the next big thing for the quarter. This just happens to be one where we get the entire team together on a group clarity break.
Yeah, and I think that's important too, because like I said, I'm brushing up on my clarity breaks before this fall. They don't have to be grandiose. Some of them were described, some of the other entrepreneurs on the forum were talking about how sometimes for them, Starbucks is a clarity break, because just them allowing themselves to physically leave their building and put their phone on do not disturb and put the computer away gives them the chance to actually work on the business. And literally, if they're at home or at their office or even on the car ride home from the office to home, they can't, because their phone is blowing up with the little fires. If I missed my clock in, and where's this sheet, and we had this patient, we had this customer return this thing, and they can't. And so even if it is once a month and it looks like Starbucks for you, or it looks like that spa that you have in your town, that's where you need to go. And if it's monthly for you or quarterly, I think one big piece of where you're getting to is it needs to be scheduled.
Sure.
You need to pull that calendar out. You need to block your time off, and everybody needs to know that you're unavailable so that they can start making plans for when those fires do burn. Who do they do delegate and delete those things to?
We're about halfway through, and I see more people still joining. So if you're new to us, chat into the box new. We like to track who's new. It does remind me, Morgan, as you're diving into closing the electronics, it's something we talk about often is how much people are on their electronics, and not even on their electronics, but on their electronics consuming information rather than producing information. Because we have, you know, this year had a focus for us to be on social media more than ever, but our intention for social media is to produce content, to connect with more potential clients, current clients, and to get ready to scale up this EIA national push. So, you know, you have some electronics in front of you right now. And one of those things that we gave to a select group of our coaching clients as a Christmas gift last year was this Remarkable 2 tablet.
Yeah.
And it made me think about a clarity break. So if somebody goes to Starbucks and they're going to go on a clarity break, you said, don't bring your electronics, turn your phone off. What do you do? Do you look at the Remarkable? Do you look at paper? Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, amazing question. So yes, to a lot of our clients, we gave this Remarkable away last year. The nice thing about this Remarkable is there's no internet. You can't, there's no Safari, you can't Google anything, you can't connect to Facebook. There's no nonsense on here. It's a digital notebook. And the same would be true for you walking into Starbucks with a notepad, right? And according to EOS, your computer and your cell phone should be shut off, iPad, whatever else, what other gadgets you have, should all be off. And you truly should have a piece of paper and a pen with you, that you can think big. And it's your opportunity, judgment free. No one else is around you unless you're taking your partners with you. And it's one of your big clarity breaks. It's your chance to get those thoughts out that have been running around your head. And I've said this forever now. You guys as entrepreneurs, because I would never count myself as an entrepreneur, you guys have no problem coming up with visions and goals and what's next in your business. But when you write them down on paper and you really start to hash them out, and what's a good idea versus nonsense versus a thought that just ran through your head, I think it allows you to put the mirror in front of your face and say, but what do I really want to do? What's my real why for my company? We keep going back to that, whether it's on unhealthy owners or subtraction. Because I think the people that we see in our lives that are the most lost or the most frustrated, they don't have that North Star. They don't have that north to their compass that's truly guiding them of where they want to go with their life, whether because they never established a why early on, or they they kind of established a soft why, and now they've started to, filter left or right to that North Star.
Well, I think yes, I agree 100%. I think you saw that in the marketing implementation bootcamp this week when we were building funnels live, right? And everybody wants to say, what piece do I send next? Where do I get more patients or clients or donors next? And I always go back with that question of, what are we trying to achieve? And what do you want to say to that person next, right? Because you can't jump from where you're currently at to where you want to be at. There's going to be steps to build, whether it's marketing, management, communication. And so what that clarity break does is allows you to really have a destination. And I always use, the analogy, if you got into a canoe, right? And you had 4 of you in that canoe and you're trying to row. If you don't tell everybody where you're going, what the deadline is, who's responsible for what, you're going to have 4 people rowing in opposite directions and you're not going to make any progress. But if you can truly begin with the end in mind, and you can align your people and align your process and align your systems and align your marketing to that outcome, I promise you can have the success that I've had growing and scaling businesses, both in audiology, real estate, accounting firms, med spas, every niche out there. Those principles are the same. You often mention, I think you mentioned it this weekend, when you have your notepad out, you have this one side for ideas. What's on the other side?
Yeah, so you split your paper right down the middle, and on the left side goes your great ideas, the things you love about maybe one day you could do sort of thing. And on the right side of the paper is the things you're gonna do. It's your list of get shit done. And on that list, whatever you put on that side of the paper is a promise that you're making to yourself that when you get home, that's what you're going to implement. So what I mean by the word do is actually implement. So one side of the sheet is thoughts, ideas, brainstorms, things you like. The right side of the sheet is the implementation side of the sheet. And that list should obviously be shorter. You should think deeply about that. And one of my favorite moments actually at the boot camp, Jared, is I think we've all heard this saying as kids is, what is it? Honesty will set you free, or honesty is the best something or other. My favorite moment, so it's speaking about a why, is when one of the other business owners says, no, it's not for me, right? We had an amazing client out of New Mexico that just decided, like, I've been here for 2 days. I've listened to everything that you had to say. And I think she came to the realization of it's not as simple as, Jared, what's your most productive piece? Mm-hmm. Because for her, that most productive piece is going to be money misspent. It's going to be patients that go untreated for a list of other reasons beyond that marketing piece not working. And as she realized all of that and just said, it's not for me, I'm going to hire somebody. And I think the same is also true for those owners that we were talking about that I was fortunate enough to spend time on, and they got a director out of it. They decided, I'm crazy, it's not for me, I don't want to do this, I'm going to hire a DO.
Well, I think we're seeing that more and more, right? As people now have been in the coaching sphere with us, coming to masterminds, coming to boot camps, they're starting to realize where their true passion, their true purpose, their true vision is. Real estate's the same way, right? We have real estate owner, amazing brokerage, growing like crazy, #1 in the state, and just said, no, I would rather platform with you. I would rather have Jared on my team, almost like an outsourced chief marketing officer on a platform, because I don't want to do that. I want to go work with people. I want to go ahead and sell, real estate. I want to go train the next generation, but I don't want to be marketing. And so she also hit the eject button and said, I know what I want. I know what I don't. Right. And we've seen that with other people, whether they're wanting to invest, whether they're wanting to, level up their membership, whether and right now, the big thing, like I said, this clarity break, June 1st, 1 million private pay patients. I'm going to connect with private practice owners in this country. Right. And I'm going to have a ton of practice owners that say, yes, I want to attach my private practice, my business to your super highway of leads. Right. Because it's easy for them. They can focus on what they do best. They can change lives while somebody else is keeping butts in the seats.
Yeah. 1 million patients. Every time you say it, I love it. I love that goal. Awesome. Well, Chris, you got any big things that you've been on there on your journey? You got anything to share with us? Mike, anything to share?
Yeah, anybody on, chat in either when you're going to do your next clarity break, or what the big thing in your practice or business is. What would you like to focus on during your next clarity break?
I just realized how big of a conversation truly we're about to have tomorrow when Keith is here about that EIA national push, just between all of the the text messages, the articles, the videos from Keith, everything that's gonna go into that kind of just hit me, the reality of, you know, vacation versus a clarity break versus working on the big things. That's quite the project that's coming down the pipeline.
It definitely is. And you start multiple business. I mean, you're really seeing, I think, Morgan, what you're seeing is years ago, you saw me start a business. You saw me sell a business, right?
Yeah.
You've seen me scale the clinics. I think what you're seeing in real time with the EIA National Network is you're seeing me go from 0 to 60. You know how Tesla and all these fast cars measure how many seconds it takes to get from 0 to 60.
Yeah.
The only difference this time is I'm going right 0 to 60 in seconds.
Yeah.
I'm not going to build this over years. It's between now and June 1st.
Yeah.
Right. When we're going to be ready to have national marketing for the profession of audiology to connect some of the 42+ million patients with great private practice owners. Right. And that is the push. And we already have great founding members who are contributing. And what they're doing is saying, heck yeah, I'm all the way in. And they're writing big checks to be a founding member and to have lifetime benefits in this network. And we're taking off like you can't believe.
Yeah.
And I think that the ability to scale is because of these clarity breaks, because last year we focused on autonomous teams, because 2 years ago we focused on building out every process. Tomorrow morning, if you follow me on Instagram, if you follow me on YouTube, tomorrow morning, I'm going to be shooting a live video from where my next office in Arizona plans to be. Right. So as we go to put 5 new offices in Arizona in the next 3 years, you're going to see yet again ramping up like you've never seen Jared ramp up before. And I think that just probably spins your head.
It does. I think that's why, I don't know if you can see it. I'm gonna watch this back and see if my eyes just went like cross-eyed there. Because I knew about the Arizona side of things. Like, we've been talking about Arizona forever, but now listening to you talk about the EIA side, I remember before we left to come down here, I told you were crazy. And now that you just said that again, that we actually have 2 founding, I think we're up to 2, maybe I shouldn't mention the number, 2 founding members for that Excellence in Audiology national marketing. It's it's all good.
Yeah, and
I
we're
think I have to eat my
right,
crow.
and we're doing it at the same time as growing coaching members, as
Yeah.
I mean, as going into real estate. Like, I mean, I don't even know, because you're not in the market. I don't know if you know how big it is.
Yeah.
That we're now going to do in real estate, right? With this mortgage, or with this real estate broker, what we did in audiology with Dr. Barrow. I mean that we're going to do it, and we're going to do it faster, and we're going to do it better. Yeah.
And
into a bigger niche, right?
Yeah.
Because audiology is a very, very small niche.
Yeah, versus real estate.
Right, versus real estate.
Yeah, I agree. I just can't believe that we already have founders, because I told you we were crazy before we came down here, so I owe you a drink or something.
June 1st.
Yeah, I love it.
Any other questions get chatted in? We have any questions? I mean, we had a great marketing boot camp. I have a few minutes. I told the wife I wouldn't be back up to the room. So if you have questions, anything, marketing, management, HR, mindset, go ahead and chat them in. Otherwise, we'll let you guys have it. The big takeaway, I can't stress enough, if you're not doing clarity breaks, read what they are, watch what they are, get out your book Traction from Gino Wickman, focus on clarity breaks. And I can't stress it enough. I was like you, I was stuck in the business. I had to answer the phones. I had to do clean-in checks, right? I had multiple hats on. And that is not owning a business. That is having either a well-paid or a horrible paying job, depending on how much time, energy, blood, sweat, and tears you put into it. So if you want to truly elevate yourself, if you truly want to be a business owner, entrepreneur, visionary that I think is at your heart, you have to implement clarity breaks. If you need help, reach out to Morgan at audexperts.com. If not, go ahead to YouTube channel, watch some of the videos from previous weeks, and we're going to make sure that you know what I did as I grew and scaled businesses, and what I did in audiology, and what I'm going to keep doing for business owners like you. So thanks for coming tonight, and we look forward to next week.